Hey guys, how you doing today? So we're going to do systems of equations using quadratics as part of that system. So we can have as many as 2 answers, or we can have actually as many as 4 answers. We'll get into it. It gets real exciting real quick. Okay, so in words, so a quadratic system is a system of equations that includes at least one quadratic. Okay, and to solve, we use the same techniques of substitution and elimination and graphing, and there's a ton of them, but I'm just going to write down graphing and algebraic. Algebraic includes things like matrices. It includes things like substitution, elimination, all of those. As for solving systems of linear equations. Okay? All right. So graphically, we can solve equations by graphing the two and seeing them. So let's say we saw a graph that was y equals x squared plus 1 and y equals negative x plus 3. So this is a quadratic equation with a linear, and this would look like this. Okay, it would look something like this. There's the quadratic, and then the linear system would look like this. Okay, let me do the linear in a different color. And so you end up with two solutions, this one right here and this one right here. Or you can end up with a graph with two quadratics. So let's say we had a quadratic of x squared plus 1 and another quadratic of negative x squared plus 3. So I'm just copying the quadratic that I did on the other page. And then the other quadratic would start at 3, but instead of going up, it would go down.
Hello there. I was reading the book.
Okay, and we end up with two solutions again. All right, and there is ways to get 4 solutions. I'm just not going to go over it quite yet because we haven't reached that point. All right.
We need a bed in our other room.
Okay, so quadratic equations and quadratic and linear systems, to solve graphically, you simply have to graph
He's on his way here.
And find the points where graphs intersect. Okay, so for this one, we've got y equals x squared, which just starts on 0. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4. So it's not going to quite see it, so it'll look something like this. There we go. And then y equals x minus 1. That's a simple, it starts on 1. Then it goes up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, and then down 1 over 1. Oh, minus 1, because I can read.
He may want to buy a whole new set or whatever, but he also wants
Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1.
So we'll see.
Up 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. And as you can see, not always do we end up with a solution, so we would write no solution. All right. Okay, any questions on the graph? If you do, please have a comment in one of your answers. All right, and then this over here is how to solve the equation algebraically or with like using algebra instead of using a picture. Okay, so we've got y equals x minus 1 and y plus 4 equals x squared plus 2x. So I'm going to solve them both so that they are y equals. We're going to use substitution for this one. We could use elimination or a bunch of other methods. But I'm going to solve them both so they say y equal. Well, actually, I'm just going to plug this in for this y. Okay, so then I'm going to have x minus 1 plus 4 equals x squared plus 2x. Now, because I have a squared term, I need to get everything to one side so I can use quadratic formula. Okay, so I'm going to subtract the 4x, I'm going to combine like terms first. So we're going to have x plus 3 equals x squared plus 2x. Then I'm going to subtract the x, subtract 3, and I end up with x squared, equals 0. So 0 equals x squared plus x minus 3. And I'm going to use quadratic formula. That should say formula. So I've got my a equals 1, my b equals 1, and my c equals negative 3. Okay, and so I've got x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then we would pull out our handy dandy calculator, do alpha y equals, enter. We put the top on there, so we do negative 1 plus, and then we're going to do the square root of 1 squared minus 4 parenthesis 1 close parenthesis parenthesis negative 3 close parenthesis all over 2 parenthesis 1. And we end up with x equals 1.30. And then we're going to do it again. So I'm going to go up and grab it and change that plus to a minus. And hit enter. And we get negative 2.30. So now I'm going to plug those into the linear equation. So y equals x minus 1. So then y is going to equal 1.3 minus 1. And y is going to equal negative 2.3 minus 1. So then my first answer is 1.3 comma 0.3. And my second answer is going to be negative 2.3 comma negative 3.3. And if you graphed that, you could see that to be correct. Okay. How you feeling? Feeling okay? Cool. All right. So now it's your turn. I want you to solve this system and this system. They are both linear and a quadratic system. You can use substitution, you can use elimination, you can use whatever you want. I highly recommend substitution because that happens to usually be the easiest method for doing that. You can use any method for solving a quadratic that you desire, and you are more than welcome to use any of them. Okay, good luck.